Hello, everybody. This is Howard the Teaserking coming to you with week 11 of college football. What a week I had last week. 13-0 in college, 5-1 in the pros, 18-1. There you have it. When the Teaserking gets on fire, and it's all there. So what I try to explain, and I need to keep doing this, it's like poker. Sometimes you look at pocket aces, pocket kings, ace king, and you play those hands. Sometimes you look at 9, 10 of diamonds, and you should fold. What happens in football is some weeks you got crappy matchups. And I try to tell you, not a very good week. There's you don't want to play weak teams and force plays because, well, I got to pick something. I don't believe in that. But when you get a good week, when you get a good board like I had last week, then you really kill it. So that's why you've got to watch me, for the whole year. You can't, watch my stats for a week and go, oh, he had a bad week. He's not a good handicapper. Or last week, he had a great week. I'm a great handicapper. I'm a good handicapper. I know what I'm doing. Been doing it for years, but not every week I'm going to go 13-1 or 18-1, and it just doesn't happen. But when I get the matchups, that's why I try to put locks out there. That's why I try to put stronger plays and weaker plays. That's the whole theory. You're looking for the pocket aces, but it doesn't happen every week. It did last week, and this week looks equally strong. As I said, in the pros, it's getting much easier now because a lot's been revealed. I can see the new coaches, who's good and who's bad. I can see the new quarterback, who's good and who's bad. But you can't. Like here you have Arizona, a new coach and a new quarterback, so you don't know how they are. Now I know they're a fairly good over team. They'll score points, and they're a fairly good dog. Though they're not losing 28-0. So you can see that and go, okay, they're a pretty good dog, pretty weak defense. And the Giants, and you see a lot of these new quarterbacks running way too much. When I see a Daniel Jones or Josh Allen or any of these idiots, and they go back to pass and they run, that's the problem. Baker Mayfield. You're there to throw the ball. You're the quarterback. You're not a running back. And when I see that, I know these guys are losers and they'll never be any good because there's never been a running quarterback that's led a team to the playoffs or to the championship. Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't run. The guy's a superstar. Brady, of course. Aaron Rodgers, they're always looking to throw, as most of the good quarterbacks do. Peyton Manning. How many times did Peyton Manning run? Once, twice in his career. Eli Manning. These are guys that win Super Bowls, that win championships. You've got to throw the ball to the receivers. This is my point. So when I see these running quarterbacks, it works in college because college talent's not that strong. But how many good Ohio State quarterbacks have there been? None. There hasn't been one good Ohio State quarterback. These, especially the last 5, 6 years, these running quarterbacks, none of them are any good because you can't run in the pros because the linebackers and safeties are faster than you are. In college, you can do that. So anyway, point said. So last week was a full deck, cleaned up, very strong. Look at the history. I had several of the games in 2 teasers. Just a beautiful week. I had 4 locks, all 4 won. San Francisco, Louisiana, Lafayette, the under in the Cleveland, the under in the Miami game, and Dallas laying 1. Now, what was the difference in Dallas -1 is my lock this week and Dallas -1 to the Jets? Well, the big difference, and the reason I repeated with Dallas and wasn't mad at them for losing the other lock was because they own the Giants. They play them every year, twice a year. They had won the last 6 games. Therefore, I knew they were going to play them well Philly had won, and especially after the way they lost to the Jets, they weren't going to do the same thing to the Giants. So that's why I locked Dallas, easy winner. The Miami game, Miami started to score a little bit, but that stayed under the number, which was wonderful. Louisiana Lafayette, that was an AZ. Louisiana Lafayette's an 18. They score and they have good defense. Texas State's weak offense, give up 30 a game. That's exactly what happened, 31-3. And Frisco laying 2.5. Shouldn't have been that close. I mean, they have a 14-point lead. They stopped scoring, and unfortunately they won by 3, so it was a winner. But so 4-0 on the locks, good. This week I have a pro lock. Looking for a college lock, which I think I just picked up one half of it. So I got to pick up the second half of it just as I was studying now. So let's get to the game. I want to talk LSU, Alabama. Alabama's 6.5 point favorite, over under of 63.5. Boy, I like this game on so many levels at so many points. I'm going to give you a double play here. I'm going to give you the team and the over-under. How about that? So some people go, I used to give 2 teasers. And I'm like, yeah, I used to. And now I'm giving one college and one pro. And you can put it with the locks. So I get people that buy the locks and then play the free pick. And the free picks have been extremely successful. The ones I give out here have been just wonderful. And I'm looking for good games to give you. I want you to watch and make money, and that's why I'm giving them to you for free. But I felt 2 games was a bit too much to give 4 games out. I thought that's a little bit much. I'm giving, one college, one pro, make it a teaser, off you go. All right, so let's talk LSU, Alabama. -6.5. Excuse me. Been a little sick and makes me a little tired. Alabama scores 48 a game, gives up 15. They're an A team. What's an A team? Team that scores a lot and has a good defense. They have a good offense, good defense. They're an A. Now, Tate Tagliavolo is injured. I don't care what he says. When you sprain your ankle, a high ankle sprain, it takes a month to heal. You're not healing it in 2 weeks. I don't think this guy will make the whole game. Their offense, they throw for 339. They run for 168. 507 total yards. But they've changed. They're not a running team anymore. This is a big problem. What have I said? If you've listened to my other videos, passing teams do not win. Why? Because they don't rest their defense. And when you get close to the end zone, you can't throw the ball in. You got to run the ball in. And if you're not a running team, it's hard to do. LSU scores 47 a game, a point less. Gives up 20 a game, 4 points more. Joe Burrow, much better quarterback than Tagliavua, goes for 378 a game, and they still run for 158. Their offense is 536. Now here's where the difference comes in. Alabama hasn't played anybody. They continue to have this weak schedule where they play Duke, and then in the crossover games they play Tennessee, South Carolina, and Missouri or something. How come they never play Florida or Georgia? It blows my mind on the crossover. Like Michigan, they played Wisconsin. Ohio State played Wisconsin. What the hell's going on here that Alabama, for years, doesn't play Florida, doesn't play Georgia? It's a joke. Oh, look how good. Alabama's number 1. Why are they number 1 when they haven't played any good team? Here we have LSU. Who do they play? They went on the road and put up 45 on Texas. They went at home. They beat a good Florida team who had beat Auburn. And they just beat Auburn. So you beat a good Auburn team. You beat a good Florida team who had beaten Auburn. And you beat a good Texas team. You still got Alabama. And I think they played, I don't know if they played Georgia or not. A&M, they're terrible. So basically, They played the Florida. Florida gives up 16 a game. Auburn gives up 17 a game, and Texas, I think, gives up 30 a game. So you can see in the better games, there, with Auburn was 23-20. Florida did become a little higher scoring game. But you can see the level of competition LSU played versus the level of competition Alabama played. It's a joke. Alabama shouldn't even be in the top 10. You got to quit rewarding this weak-ass schedule. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, they don't play anybody. Duke and who? I mean, New Mexico State, I believe. It's a pathetic schedule, and they should not be rewarded for it, yet they keep getting rewarded, and they keep giving them the easy part of the SEC East instead of Georgia or Florida or both. Auburn had both of them. They had to play Georgia Auburn plays Georgia and Florida and LSU and Alabama. And I'm so sick and tired of these radio and these sports people on TV. Well, they have 2 losses. Like, that's the end-all, be-all. Oh, Oregon has 2 losses or a loss. They can't be in the playoff. We can't expand the playoff. I don't want to see a 3-loss team. Well, first of all, Florida right now is better than Alabama because they've played better teams. Georgia had a loss. LSU by far is better than Alabama because Alabama hasn't proven anything. But you can't take these other teams out of it. So if LSU and Georgia play in the championship for the SEC and Georgia wins, you're going to put Alabama back in because they only have 1 loss to LSU? I mean, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Look, New England just lost to Baltimore. Are they not the best team in the league still? I mean, give me a break. A lot of it's matchups, but in the scheduling of it, yes, it's a bad schedule. Alabama gets this huge break and gets rewarded for playing nobody and winning. Like, that's a big deal to win by 30 over Duke. I mean, give me a freaking break. And this is the problem with college football and the playoff. It's just stupid. So anyway, I had to rant. So let's get into the quarterback numbers. Joe Burrow throws for 350 a game, 78%. That's amazing. 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Toi Tagovailoa throws for 2,100 yards, 309 average, 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But I'll take you back to who they played. Joe Burrow had a great defense in Florida, a great defense in Auburn, not a great defense in Texas, but still it's Texas. You've had 3 really strong teams, 30-4. Tagovailoa, 27-2. Who's he played? There's nobody. He hasn't played a good team yet. So that's the problem with statistics. That's the problem with looking at numbers at a high level without going in and going, oh, wait a minute. Burrow's doing this against Florida and Auburn and Texas, and Tagovailoa's doing it against Old Mississippi and Tennessee. I mean, give me a break. Now, let's get to some more numbers. 2019 numbers. Alabama's a home favorite, 3-2, overall 6-2. Bet against 4-1. Bet against in total 7-1. So if you bet against Alabama every week, you're 7 wins and 1 loss. Now, yes, they've been overspread. Vegas and their terrible numbers have them as 30-point favorites every game. So it's impossible to be very good against the number when you're laying 30 in most of the games, but that shows you the competition. And even laying the 30, even in that, they're not winning by more than 30. So they're winning by 20, 15, so they're not really that strong. Again, they're playing very, very weak teams. Let's look at LSU. They haven't been a road dog. They've been a road favorite. They're 3-0 as a road favorite, including the win over Texas. 6-1 against the number. The number they didn't cover was Auburn. They were, I think, 10-point favorites, so you lay 4 and they won by 3. In the game, they threw 2 picks near the end zone, so they should have easily covered that. 5-2 against. let's go to 2019, 2018. And I don't really want to go farther than this because you've got LSU with a whole different offense, Joe Burrow, but a whole New Orleans Saints offense. So they're different this year. So let's take a look. Alabama 9-2 is a home favorite, 19-3 against the number. 8-3 against is the home favorite, 15-7 against is the number. So they're a very good road favorite, 10-1. Home favorite 9-2, 8-3 against. So when you combine the years, they're much better last year because people were adjusting to their new style. Plus, again, the poor scheduling and the numbers weren't as strong. LSU LSU's a road dog, 3-0, 5-1 is a road favorite, so they're 8-1 on the road, on the road, 15-4, 79%, in the teaser. Now again, last year they were getting better, but this is the first year they got it all going, so you can't really take this team too far back. So that's where I'm at. So who has the better coach? Probably Alabama a little bit. I think he has a defensive system. I don't know if he's a better coach. He can pay better for the players. All his players are bought and paid for. So when you have better players, are you really that good of a coach? I don't know. Their offense, I think, is very weak from the standpoint of resting their defense and scoring close. Look at it against Clemson. Again, when you don't play anybody, it's easy to look good. Against Clemson, it was gone. It just didn't show up. So all that high passing doesn't do you any good. You got to get it in when you're inside the 20. So that's where their problem lies. And they don't rest their defense. Clemson put up, 50 points on them. So when you play a good game, all of a sudden it's not a simple thing. So that's what you have with that. So when we look at that, well, look at LSU. They beat Auburn. They beat They beat LSU. They beat Florida, and they beat Texas, and they beat Auburn. So they played three really tough teams, two with defenses under 17, and they got the win. And Florida they beat pretty handily. So let's get to the number. Alabama laying 6.5 here. Love LSU getting 12.5. They will not get blown out. I think Tagliavoa's injury he's not going to be right. I've never seen anybody with a high ankle sprain is 100% in 2 weeks. It takes at least 4 weeks to heal that. Oh, he ain't going to be ready. Their backup, I have no idea who that is. I'm sure he's not very good because he hasn't played. He might be good in a year, but not now. So I look at the game. Let's take a look at this game without a point spread. LSU, Alabama, even. Who do you like? Well, it's at Alabama. Okay. It's LSU. You know they're going to score points, and they're not going to get blown out in this, which then makes it, can LSU win? Absolutely, the way they're playing. Let's not forget LSU's got a great, probably the best cornerback in the country and a great defense. But when you're playing a Texas and an Auburn, it's, Florida, those are very strong teams. Now the difference is Alabama can't really run the ball. They're not a strong running team. Remember, they're just passing to these little fast receivers. Well, guess what? The little fast receivers aren't going to be wide open in this game. They're going to be covered. There's going to be a pass rush. Okay, this is not going to take 3 steps dropping this. One of these Calvin Ridley guys is wide open. Not going to happen. They can't run the ball. They're going to be in trouble. LSU can throw on Auburn. They can throw on Florida. Defense is just as strong, if not stronger, than Alabama's. Again, we don't know Alabama because we haven't seen them play any team that's ranked in the top 75. I mean, it's all been a bunch of pigs they've been playing. Now, their weakness, Johnny Manziel lit them up. Deshaun Watson lit him up, has been a good quarterback. You got a good quarterback and throw the ball, Alabama's weak point. Now, the funny part, LSU hasn't had a good quarterback in 10 years until Burrow. None of the teams, Mississippi State had Dak Prescott, right? But he was more of a runner. He's not really a good passing quarterback. Ole Miss had Chad Kelly, and he beat him twice. And if you can throw the ball, and of course Manziel beat him twice. So a good quarterback who can throw the ball, that's their weakness, is the secondary, and they're made to stop the run. So when you play running teams, they kill them. But if you got a good quarterback, good receivers like LSU, that's their weak spot. Art of War, attack the weakness. LSU, that's their strength, throwing the ball. Now LSU can still run the ball, and LSU has a hell of a defense. Alabama's not going to walk in. So I'm going to give you 2 picks here. A, take LSU plus 12.5. Live dog. B, go under the point of 63.5. Go down under 69.5. There's no way in hell this game hits 70 points. First of all, the defenses are going to make it hard to score. Look at the Auburn game, 23-20. They get down there, they both threw interceptions. Auburn had that big run down to the 5. They couldn't score a touchdown. I remember in the first game, Texas had the ball first and goal to 1 or 2 twice in a row and couldn't score a touchdown. Alabama's going to have their work cut out for them if Tagliabue can play more than a quarter. And that's another thing, is I don't think he'll play more than a half. He's injured. You do not recover from a high ankle sprain in 2 weeks. Nobody does. And LSU will score, but they're not going to go up and down the field. When you see these teams score 50, 60 points, they're playing weak defenses. To give LSU credit for putting up a 40 on Florida is amazing, because Florida's defense is very good. So that was a little surprising that game got so high. I had LSU in that game. But here, LSU's a 12-point favorite, covers against Florida, 10-point favorite against Auburn. Now you make them a 6.5-point dog against who? Alabama, who? I'm looking at this strictly from an analyst standpoint. I'm a damn good analyst. You can't sit there and tell me Alabama is 14 points better than LSU. I don't think they're 7 points better. I don't think they'll win the game, but if they do, I'm looking at maybe a 31-24 game. I can't see this game getting much higher than that. I can't see, you're not going to run up and down the field on Alabama. You're not going to run up and down the field on LSU. There's going to be a lot of punts, field goals. A 70-point game is my Hawaii Air Force game a couple weeks ago. You're playing teams that can score 30, 35 with defenses that give up 30, 35. So when you play a strong offense into a weak defense, you get high numbers, but not into these defenses. I mean, Alabama will shut them down for the most part, and LSU will definitely shut down Alabama. Tagliabue won't play the whole game, so basically you're looking at a game, maybe it hits 30-20 or something. I just can't see this game getting into the 40s on each. I can't see 44-40. I'd be shocked if Alabama just goes up and down the field, and that I think it was 28-7 last year or something. If you notice in the teams with the better defense, Old Mississippi State and LSU last year, Alabama only put up in the 20s. Against Clemson, I don't think they got 20. So when they played the better defenses, it was not 60 points and the guy's wide open and Tagliabue's got 10 touchdown passes. That's where he threw his interceptions. It's against the better teams because it's the same play. He's assuming that his little fast guy is going to get open. LSU's got a lot of little fast guys on defense. Anyway, there's your play. You can play it together. You can play it separately. You can play one or the other. Take LSU plus 12.5. Go under 69.5. Take that to the bank. Teaserking. Pocket aces. www.teaserking.com. I already have a pro lock, and I am hunting. I will probably have a college lock, hopefully. But these things, I can't. I don't just say, well, I'm going to lock the game. I don't really think it's a lock, but I'm going to lock it. I mean, if I don't find one, I'm not locking it. Again, I found one in the pros. It's locked. So take it from there. Anyway, there's your pick. Big game. LSU, Alabama. LSU should be the #1 team. Alabama should not be in the top 5 because they haven't beaten anybody. And if they beat LSU, then they deserve to be in the top 5. Again, it's so stupid, this whole system. To only have 4 teams in a playoff is just ridiculous. It should be at least 16 teams. You want to have a good playoff. That's what you need. Don't tell me some of these teams don't belong in there. Like last year, UCF and Fresno State definitely belonged in there. This year, they're not that strong. UCF and Fresno State. There's really not that team in the other conferences that are very strong, but certainly there's several teams in the Pac-10, the Big Ten, Southwest Conference, Southeast Conference. I mean, there's Florida, Georgia, and LSU, and you got Oklahoma and Baylor. I don't know about Kansas State, that they did beat Oklahoma, and you got Ohio State, not Penn State. I thought Wisconsin, but they didn't look too good. So maybe if Penn State beats Ohio State, then Penn State, but they're not going to. So you got Ohio State there, Oregon there. So there's at least 6, 7 teams that should be in the playoff. All right, everybody. Well, have a great weekend. www.teaserking.com. Good luck. Enjoy the LSU Auburn game.